that note, I want to welcome into the program, man. This brother. Let me just touch on the bio. This brother right here, Dr. Gianni Clarkson, man, proud graduate of Dillard University, has his master's and doctorates. He's a chemist in the classroom because he's an educator in the District of Columbia Public Schools. He really pushes the envelope in class. He's an award-winning historian and educator. He's been selected as a Ford's Theater National Oratory Fellow for the past 8 years. And this is a program, if you don't know, that gives teachers the opportunity to teach social advocacy through the power of oratory and history. So that's a big deal. His quote is, what is important is to empower students no matter where they are from, love them through adversity, and celebrate their success. Please welcome to the Karen Hunter Show, Dr. Clarkson.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up with you?
Hey, man, this is our last day before break, so life is great.
Yeah. That's Dante right there. I brought you on the show, man, because I'm a big history buff, but I don't have all the facts. I don't know all the ins and outs of. I talk a good game, but I love to hear myth busters, if you will, and historical context that kind of puts us on a path to discovery as a people.
Right.
So that we can wake up and stop pushing these tropes and these conditionals. Me and Dante earlier talked about how there's so many things we do that we're conditioned to do out of habit.
Right.
And I wanted to break that up today. One of my favorite programs on TV is Adam Ruins Everything.
Yeah. Right.
So Dr. Clarkson, we came up with a situation where Dr. Clarkson destroys history.
I'll take it.
In a way that's both informative and transformative, if you will. So we've had previous conversations, you and I, and there were some things that you brought to my attention that I didn't know. And I was like, wow, in order for me to be woke in 2022, I got to get this out to the masses. You know what I mean? And one of the things that stood out to me was Black Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And how, I thought it was one thing, but there's a woke version based in history where it's totally different. Yeah. So if you could expound on the history and the origins of Black Friday.
Yeah, man. 'Tis the season to ruin some history.
There we go.
La. My bad. So here we go, man. So when we talk about Black history, or we talk about Black Friday, where everyone's talking about how they're about to get the latest flat screen for about $12. They're about to get the J's for $5 and everything else. But however, the origin of Black Friday is really almost a kiss some family members goodbye. That's why it was called Black Friday. So during a time, of course, of slavery that's happening inside of our country, the harvest season is over. So slaves that underperform, that was their Black Friday. So you would be able to celebrate Thanksgiving with them, knowing on Friday they'd be part of a fire sale that they'd be going over to another plantation. So that is unfortunately the origin of the story of Black Friday in many of our southern states, where there's a huge slavery population at this time, but also there's just a basically show and prove. If you really want your brother, your sister, your father, mother, Big Mama to stay on the plantation, she better show and prove. If not, on Black Friday, she may not be here.
So are you trying to tell me, because, with everything that we know and that we're taught, Black Friday means that it's when companies typically balance their books,
right,
at the time of the year when they expect to be in the black and not be in the red for the year, and clearance sales.
Yeah,
you're trying to tell me that the origin of that is a clearance on slaves?
Yes, the clearance on slaves. Hey, I didn't make the profits I thought I was going to. Let's look at the books. Well, we got Joe over here. We thought he was averaging this number of bushels. He's not. He's underperforming. We're going to get him out of here. We're going to put him for a 2-for-1 sale. And unfortunately, that is what happened to many black bodies. So when we always talk about, black folks, once again, couldn't read, the idea of reading against the law, but also what was against the law was being able to keep family trees, know who you're related to and why you're related to various people. And it was very difficult for many black families during the times of slaves because, hey, everyone's coming and going. One harvest season, your uncle's here, well, meet your new uncle. You know, or man, this might be your cousin that you never even seen before because she was 5 miles down the road.
Wow. We're joined with Dr. Gianni Clarkson for Dr. Clarkson Destroys History. Now, this is problematic for me, Dante, because now this is yet another thing that's going to prevent
you from getting your gifts.
yeah. I can't participate in Black Friday knowing this.
You can't Black Friday. The supply chain. The terrorists will win.
The terrorists will win.
Yeah, I mean, I'd even want to go here too. At the end of the month, or throughout the months, when babies were born, there were also called naming ceremonies. You know, a lot of slaves had difficult time surviving winters, right? So unfortunately, let's say, for example, Adam or a Mark dies, right? A new baby boy is born. They will ask the woman, okay, well, what is this baby's name? Well, I want to name this baby John. Well, I'm not interested in learning a new name. All right, we already got a John here. So his name is Adam. Well, Master, I want to name my son John. Well, this is real easy for you. Adam works here. I sell John. What's the name of your child? And this is very clear when you look at Thomas Jefferson and Monticello. When you go to Monticello, you see the names of all the slaves' names that are there. You wonder, as creative as a people as we are, why is the same names keep repeating?
I did wonder that. Yeah.
Well, they keep repeating was because that's a business decision.
Now, you know what's interesting about that, and I noticed it in my family. Black families they have that. It's like we have Roberts, Vincents, you know, like generation after generation. It's interesting how we're so programmed that we continue this on, even though it has a different relevance to us, but it's still, the programming is still there.
So you're saying that it's not a junior scenario or the third. It's really just a replacement.
Yeah, it's a replacement. Man, that's the new Adam. I ain't got time to learn no new names because I don't really view you as a person anyway.
Right.
So whenever I'm very careful, especially being someone in education. Right. Whenever I hear, of course, teachers, some of my colleagues get a little, indignant, like who would name their child that way? I always push back and say, well, hey, let's be fair. There was a time and place where that parent didn't have the freedom to name their child that at all. A name is the second to life. Well, of course, life, but your name is the second most important gift that your parents give you. And just to think, at one time, an enslaved people could even give their child that one thing.
Yeah, and that's funny that you brought that up because I always had this thing where I've never had a problem with what would be considered a weird name.
Right.
And because I'm like, it's a word. And if you learned how to say fire truck, then you can learn how to put these syllables together and pronounce a word. I hate when people like get African names or hear African names and act like it's so impossible to pronounce. Just sound it out. Stop.
Yeah, that's lazy. I mean, my first name is Gianni. Yeah. I'm a proud product of an Italian, immigrant. My father came from the island of Malta. And the only reason why I'm a Clarkson is because that's the tallest building that he saw. And they told him that, they're not rocking with Italian immigrants. So he gave up the last name of Leonetti. And that's the reason why I'm a Clarkson.
Wow. You should for 2022, being woke, you should rock with Leonetti. I think that will get you.
I like that.
Yeah. Better reservations. I think Leonetti will get you seated sooner. Yeah, I like it. That sounds thorough.
Yeah, Leonetti, yeah.
Dr. Clarkson Destroys History. All right, New Year's is coming up. There's another, I know you're big on myth busting some of our popular traditions.
Right.
Watch night. Now, what I know of watch night is, all right, we're going to church because, you don't want to be on the streets at midnight. And first thing you got to do at the beginning of any year is give it honor and praise to God. So that's why we here watching it. You're telling me that that's not where that originated from?
No, I'll paraphrase. No, I'm gonna go and quote Frederick Douglass. It's a day for poetry and song, a new song that these cloudless skies, this balmy air, this brilliant sunshine are in harmony with the glorious morning of liberty about to dawn upon us. So this was said in a major speech that he gave on December 31st, 1862, You call it Watch Night, but the origins of it is Freedom's Eve. So, of course, in September 22nd of 1862, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. However, it did not take into effect until Jan 1 of 1863. The fear of the Black church and of many African Americans was that this document was going to be destroyed because someone was going to assassinate Abraham Lincoln. Right. So Black Twitter, which is the Black church at this time, is all waiting.
Yes.
Is trying to wait and see, is this document really going to come to pass? And when they know that Lincoln has basically survived the night, that means that this document has survived the night as well too. Wow. So that's why it's called Freedom's Eve. So of course we know it as Watch Night, but people are watching the new year to come in. They're also watching the streets to make sure, hey fam, Lincoln's still alive? Okay, cool. Lincoln's still good? All right, bet. And I mean, the number of times the Lincoln's life was the number of attempts on Lincoln's life is like somewhere in the 40s.
So they're really?
Yeah. In fact, he was almost assassinated the night that he became president of the United States. He's in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the night of he gets named president. And at that time, there are assassins everywhere just waiting for him to slip up. The birth of the Secret Service actually happens that night. They dress him up like an old man, put him in a wheelchair. They take him to a train where they have him coming from Pennsylvania down to Maryland. But then, of course, the train stops in Baltimore. Why? Sound ordinance. They can't run a train through the city.
They can't run a train through the city, Smith.
Can't run a train through the city.
Smith, you can't run a train through the city. They can't
run a train through the city.
In some places, you just can't run a train.
It's too loud at night. You can't run a train.
You just can't run a train.
I'm gonna keep going about this. So since they can't run a train through the city, they have to take him off the train, and they find an undertaker that has an enormously large casket. They put him in the casket and by horse, bring him from Baltimore to D.C. as he lays in a casket. That's morbid as hell.
That's super morbid. And these are things that we were not taught.
Yeah.
This is craziness.
Jack Johnson did the same thing because he was messing with white girls.
Yeah. and then after the 40 attempts, the one that gets him is when he went to the play, and Dante, this is why I don't go to plays.
So don't do that.
This is
I mean, they unfortunately, all the sales and tips off are there. The night that John Wilkes Booth is actually sitting in a bar, which is 2 stories down from Ford's Theater, and someone yells at him and says, "You'll never be the actor that your father is," because John Wilkes Booth's father was a brilliant actor.
Just shitted on him.
Absolutely.
He was like, "I'll show you."
He literally quotes and says, "By the end of the night, I'll be the most famous actor in America."
Wow.
And sure enough, he had free range of Ford's because he was an actor in residence there. Abraham Lincoln walks in the door. Of course, they play "Hail to the Chief" in the middle of the play, where the play is My American Cousin.
Right.
And he's sitting up there. Of course, John Wilkes Booth comes in, fatally wounds a soldier, and then, of course, kills Abraham Lincoln, which is crazy. His wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, she wears black all the rest of her days. She lives in the White House for 40 days and 40 nights. And it's not until one of her best friends, who's a black woman, believe it or not, tells her, "Girl, you need to get your life together."
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. She says,
she went to the club and came to New Year's church. She smelling like Hennessy and Booty.
Yeah,
she posted a meme. Well, I don't need these people. All right, so look, man,
played some Mary J. Blige, and everything was okay.
All right, so Dr. Clarkson destroys history. We got about 2 minutes now. We talked about Watch Night, Black Friday. What's the last one you got for us?
Just once again, how white people just put black people out of work. You've heard of Black Pete, right?
Black Pete? No, who's Black Pete?
So Black Pete, of course, is Santa's major helper. There was, of course, he's making a list, checking it twice. It's Black Pete who actually checks the list twice. Black Pete is known as this amazing navigator and checker of kids. He was a Moor that was from Spain, who was introduced into the story in around 1850. So with that being said, when he was portrayed, of course, in low countries, lower European countries, they were putting someone white in blackface, which I never understood because it's like, yo, just give a black man a job. So they never did that. So because of that controversy in 2016, they finally did allow a black person to play Black Pete. However, the traditionalists said that Black Pete should be played by a white actor in blackface. And they tried that crap in LA during a parade. But the people from Watts, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, they weren't having it. Watts, yeah.
So, of course, that's why Black Pete has unfortunately disappeared.
Dr. Clarkson, is that also related to the Dutch? I don't know if you're familiar with the Dutch, where they have the kids in Pickaninny and blackface.
Absolutely.
Is that the same? Is it Black Pete or is there something? I'm not.
Those are, believe it or not, those are the children of Black Pete. So the whole idea is that, and this is what's crazy.
You know this, Lamont? You know this?
No, I've never heard this. As a matter of fact,
in Holland, I mean,
hold on, I want to put you on pause. You got a little time? So we got to take this break. You got a little time, Dr. Clarkson?
Yeah, I'm here for it.
We're going to finish this up on the other side. Dr. Clarkson destroys history. You can follow him on all social media. Dr. Clarkson loves history. Award-winning educator and historian. We're going to finish this story up about Black Pete and the Dutch Negro children who ran a train through Watts.
Ran the train through and went to the club with Mary Todd Watson.
Right here on the other side. Stay put. 866-801-8255. This is the Karen Hunter Show on Sirius XM. Urban View Channel 126. We're talking powers and becomes action. Mr. Lamont King sitting in with Dante Nero. Professor Hunter is on vacation. Right here on Sirius XM, Urban View, Channel 126. We're talking powers and becomes action. We're talking with Dr. Clarkson, award-winning educator and speaker and innovator, and for Dr. Clarkson Destroys History. And before we took that break, you were explaining about Black Pete, and Dante mentioned the Dutch kids. And what's the connection?
So those Dutch kids are known as the descendants of Black Pete, believe it or not. And their story is very unique, too, about how they spread Christmas joy throughout other countries and also in countries that are downtrodden. And that is...
Shithole countries.
Come on.
I mean, that's what you mean, right? That's what you... Shithole countries.
The downtrodden countries, third world countries.
Okay.
And because of that, that's what makes them so unique, because it's the belief that no matter who you are, everyone deserves the joy of Christmas.
Right.
Now, what's the whole Dutch thing? The Dutch.
Yeah, so like people that are in Dutch and in these European countries are like, yo, Black Pete is played by a white actor in blackface. And of course, there's black people around going, fam, we can be Black Pete. He's a Moor. His origins are 1850, Spain, and black people are everywhere. No matter how we try to ignore it, but we're everywhere.
Is there any book that you could recommend? Any book? Do you have a book? Or you said you were working on one.
So I am working on a book, and of course, the great thing about it is that during this holiday season, you can look at Kwanzaa and hip hop, where I take some of my favorite tracks growing up as a kid and pair them with just principles of Kwanzaa. And then during February, of course, I do history in a minute, giving love and shout outs to those that get overlooked way too many times. But to speak of a really great book, there's a book called Santa and Pete, which is a novel of Christmas present and past. It's written by a wonderful man by the name of Christopher Moore. Christopher Moore also wrote a play that is clutch. It's called The Last Season, which talks about the last year of the Negro Baseball League and how Jackie Robinson crossing over destroyed a rich black tradition, and how what it does to one of the most celebrated teams, which are called the Monarchs, and how they don't have enough players to play because everybody's running off to try out for a team, and how they lose their own identity in trying to become the next major star.
And then here we have 2021, Travis Hunter goes to Jackson State. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
There it is, right there. All right, Dr. Clarkson, Dr. Gianni Clarkson, I appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by. Dr. Clarkson Destroys History, and 2022. It's time to get woke. You got to stop, pushing this conditioning, this habitual celebration of shit we don't understand.
I absolutely agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely agree.
I appreciate you.
Hey, humble. Thank you.
All right, till next time.
Doc.
Thank you.
Yeah.